Chapter 646, The Battle Has Begun. A certain area in Jiangning Square. The 13 people from the Eclipse Moon Group gathered here. Although there was smoke all around them and the place was filled with black dust, they did not look in the least bit disheveled. It was as if they had taken cover before the bombing even started. 12 people formed a circle, with the middle-aged man Jinguji Saikairo in the middle. He habitually pushed his gold-rimmed glasses and then took his hands out of his suit pockets. His long, thin index finger slowly raised, and a little golden light shined from the tip of his finger. His gaze suddenly became sharp, and his right hand quickly swiped through the air while he recited a spell. Lin, Bing, Do, Zhe, Jia, Zhen, Zai, Lai, Qian. Note, this is a mistranslation by Neon. The 9 Secrets is from Biopuzi. The song version reads, "Those who fight are in formation and moving forward," while the Taoist canon version reads, "Those who fight are moving forward in groups." The golden light in the air did not disperse, and quickly turned into a huge golden 5-pointed star. The golden light flashed in Shinguji's eyes. As he pointed his right finger at the sky, the golden 5-pointed star shattered, turning into countless tiny talismans that soared into the sky. A moment later, a majestic mist began to spread around the area centered on Jinguji's location. Within just a few minutes, the entire Jiangning Plaza was enveloped. The 3 teams were the first to notice the abnormality and reported to the Combat Command Center. An unidentified fog has been detected. It covers a very large area, so it must be the work of the Eclipse Moon people. Zhu Jing immediately said, "Everyone be careful, and prevent the Eclipse Moon people from attacking while the fog is still around." He didn't need to say anything more, as the outsiders in the outer city would be careful on their own. This ability wasn't mentioned in any of the intelligence, Zhuo Feiyu said with a serious expression. As expected, they still retained a lot from the first battle. Veteran Yu Xingyang said calmly, "This is just a distraction to hide their vision, it is not offensive." In the other team, Mo Zhongning's mouth curled up in a sneer. The thick fog can hide people's vision, but it cannot hide the soul beasts. It is better to say that this battlefield is more conducive to my play now. In any case, the 2 teams are slowly advancing towards Jiangning Square. On the contrary, Zhang Yi's side, he set up a wall on the roof of a building on the edge of Jiangning Square, and had no intention of advancing at all. He was just waiting for the enemy to come to him. And he was certain in his heart that the other party would definitely come to him. At this time, the 3 investigation teams all had the authority to act independently. Under the unclear situation ahead, Zhu Jing would not order them to do anything. This is a battlefield, where the ability to adapt to changing situations is most important. Zhu Jing chose to trust these strangers from the outer city. After Shinguji had used his ability, he put his hands back in his pockets. A gray bird landed on his shoulder. It opened its mouth and 12 identical gray crows flew out, landing on the shoulders of the others. Shinguji's expression of impatience never disappeared. Next, this battlefield will become an unknown region. Mayumi, it's up to you. Huan smiled and waved at him, "Good luck." Jinguji, your methods are as reliable as ever. Whatever. Jinguji ignored him and walked over to the side in silence. The shrine maiden Mayumi Takeuchi glanced at Huan, and after receiving his approval, she slowly walked to the middle of the circle. Her hands turned transparent, and she slowly removed the scroll from her head. The scroll unfurled on the snow, but not a single snowflake touched it. Not even the snowflakes that were dancing in the air could land on it. It was as if the scroll did not exist in the world. Mayumi Takeuchi sat down on her knees in the snow. She raised her right hand, and a slender brush with its end held by a small ghost appeared in her hand. This time, she did not take out the bright red ink, because the previous supply had already been used up. So she extended her left hand, revealing her white lotus arm. Without hesitation, the slender brush in her right hand stabbed into the arm. Puh! Blood flowed profusely, but not a drop was wasted. The goblin at the end of the brush sucked in large mouthfuls, and the blood coagulated on the tip of the brush. With an expression of supreme holiness, Mayumi Takeuchi began to write on the long scroll. After a long time, the scroll was covered in dense, bloody characters. Huan and Jinguji walked over and looked at the divine characters. Mayumi Takeuchi's face was a little pale, and it was clear that the use of this supernatural ability also consumed a lot of energy for her. However, she still calmly said, "The enemy has already arrived, in the west and north, and there are 4 of them. In addition, there are also hidden enemies who have not yet revealed themselves." Jinguji frowned. "Only 2 teams have come? The number of people this time is much less than last time. Maybe they are all elites." Huan's face was deeply smiling. "Maybe they are just cannon fodder. To lure us out and test our abilities." Jinguji pushed his glasses up his nose. "It doesn't matter. As long as Mayumi is here, we won't be at a tactical disadvantage." He looked at Takeuchi. Mayumi, come on. Tell us what to do." Takeuchi Mayumi picked up the scroll and looked to the west. "Okay." In the center of the battle formation, the middle school boy, 40th Matoba, sat cross-legged on a cardboard box, his eyes closed. His ability had already been activated. Each of the 13 Eclipse Moon members was connected to him by a red thread, and the point of convergence was on his body. With his presence, the 13 people could get in touch with each other in time, no matter how far apart they were. In other words, the information blocking function in the Jiangnan region was useless to them. Phoenix Yard's smile grew even wider. "These guys must have set a trap waiting for us to jump in. They simply don't understand who the prey is and who the hunter is. Let's make a big mess." It's time for the leaders of the Jiangnan region to understand that Eclipse Moon is a presence they can't afford to provoke. The Combat Command Center. Zhu Jing frowned as he looked at the heavy fog that had appeared in front of him. In addition to fighter jets, they had also deployed low-altitude, unmanned reconnaissance aircraft. But at this moment, the lenses of these reconnaissance aircraft were also completely covered. Their advantage in domestic operations had been completely wiped out. Next, they could only rely on the personal cameras of the foreign teams in the outer city to grasp everything that was happening on the scene. And as Mayumi Takeuchi's divination ended, the members of the Eclipse Moon Group also received their battle orders. Everyone was very optimistic about this battle. Because as long as they followed Mayumi Takeuchi's predictions, they had never failed. One after the other, the aliens left their positions. With the presence of the Grey Crows, the fog seemed to have no effect on them. However, Shinguji frowned slightly as he stared at the map on his phone. Why are there only troops coming from 2 directions? From this perspective, there is just one empty position. Is this place intentionally left for us to escape, or is there something else? Huan smiled slightly and came over to pat him on the shoulder. There's no need to follow their rhythm. We need to seize the initiative in the battlefield. Just trust Mayumi's divination. Jinguji frowned and pondered for a moment before nodding. You're the team leader, so I'll leave this problem to you to solve. Don't be careless, or someone will die. Huan waved his hand at him, signaling for him to hurry up and go. What a jinx, he cursed under his breath. Chapter 647. You only have one opponent. Western Front. Wu Shifang and the others did not hurry forward, but instead waited silently for the results of Mo Zhongning's reconnaissance. The soul beasts had already advanced through the ruins, heading towards the area within the cone-shaped range in front of them. They shared their 5 senses with Mo Zhongning, and as soon as they detected the enemy's trail, they would be sensed by Mo Zhongning in the first instance. Wu Shifang and the other 2 stood guard by Mo Zhongning's side, while the 4 of them hid behind the cover of a ruin. Suddenly, a dazzling white light appeared in the field of view of one of the soul beasts. The next moment, it disappeared completely into the ruins. Mo Zhongning opened his eyes wide. One of my soul beasts has been killed. The expressions of the 3 men from Wu Shifang's group suddenly became grave. Have you found the person who killed the moon? Let me take a closer look. Although a soul beast had been killed, Mo Zhongning did not panic. He could summon 138 soul beasts at a time. Since the location of the dead soul beast had been determined, he could have the other soul beasts gather in that direction. Then he could determine the identity of the person who had come. So, Mo Zhongning immediately mobilized 10 soul beasts around the one that had been killed and set off to gather information. The other soul beasts were ordered to retreat by Mo Zhongning. The area to the west of Jiangning Square was not large. Soon, 10 soul beasts ran from the ruins to this place. What awaited them was a thick barrel. Mo Zhongning immediately recognized his identity. In his right hand was a huge black hand cannon, and his attack method was supernatural shells. The gunner of the Eclipse Moon organization, Kurosawa Akira. As soon as the soul beast appeared, it was killed by Kurosawa's cannon shot after cannon shot. Mo Zhongning knew that he didn't have much time left, so he quickly used the fleeting view of the remaining soul beasts to observe the strange people appearing around him. In addition to Kurosawa Akira, there were 2 other figures slowly walking towards him. One was a young man with a shaved head and a spiritual appearance, Sakuraba Yoshimitsu. When he saw the third person's figure, Mo Zhongning's pupils suddenly contracted. It's him. Damn it, why are we so unlucky? As soon as he finished speaking, all the soul beasts he had sent out were wiped out. Mo Zhongning stood up in some alarm, breathing heavily. The 3 of them, Wu Shifang, Li Weihai and Jia Heading, could not help but feel a chill run down their spines. Mo Zhongning, what did you see? What exactly is it that makes you so afraid? Mo Zhongning's eyes flashed with a vengeful look, and he said with clenched teeth, the monster we encountered was that one. Daiku Kaitenjin. Upon hearing this, the expressions of Wu Shifang, Li Weihai, and Jia Heading also became solemn. They had all seen the strength of Daiku Kaitenjin. In the first battle, he easily annihilated 2 teams of aliens single-handedly. Among the known enemies, he is definitely the most dangerous one. He is also the one that everyone would least like to encounter. But seeing Mo Zhongning's resentful look, Wu Shifang snorted in contempt, somewhat despising him in his heart. Even if you encounter a powerful guy, there's no need to be so scared, right? We all have 2 shoulders to carry a head. I don't believe the 4 of us are not his match. As a powerful alien with enhanced abilities, Wu Shifang is also a hero, and his strength is above Li Guoqiang and Meng Shucheng, who were killed by Daikoku and Jin. Coupled with the assistance of capable teammates, he believes that his team can fight Daikoku and Jin. Mo Zhongning covered his head and said with gritted teeth, but he didn't come alone. He also brought 2 helpers. Even if it's 4 against 3, it's still hard for us to win against them. We might die. But don't forget, our goal is not to defeat them. We just need to hold them off for a while. We should be able to do that. Wu Shifang said calmly. The captains of the 3 teams all had extraordinary courage, and the candidates for the regional assessment were not just any old people. Wu Shifang's character was bold and meticulous, and he was not afraid in a crisis. By the time he said this, Wu Shifang had already sent information to the headquarters. The Western team has encountered the enemy. There are 3 people temporarily discovered, namely, Daiku Kaito Jin, Sakuraba Yoshimitsu, and Kurosawa Akamabe. After receiving the information from the headquarters, dozens of analysts in the Combat Command Center immediately began operating on the computer. They analyzed the combat power of the 3 people and used algorithms to come up with the best response plan. Zhu Jing looked at the report submitted by his subordinates and immediately said to Wu Shifang, "Very good, engage them as planned. Stall them and force them to use their superpowers as much as possible. Create a chance for the Tenrian squad to break through." Understood. Wu Shifang ended the conversation with headquarters and then looked at the 3 people next to him. Since we're here today, let's forget about life and death for now. Let's fight them to our heart's content. To Wu Shifang, Jiangning was his home. If this home was lost, his family and friends would be wiped out by the eclipse. So he must fight to the death. Even if it meant giving his life, it would be worth it. Mo Zhongning and the other 2 men might not have the same level of dedication as him. But now that things had come to this, they could not retreat. To flee would not only bring them shame, but they would also be punished by the Jiangnan region. It's better to fight for a future. Mo Zhongning gritted his teeth and whispered, "Fine, let's fight them. I want to see how much these scum from Neon are worth." The four of them followed the original plan and formed a diamond formation. The enhanced alien martial artist Shifang blocked the front, Mo Zhongning and Li Weihai were on the left and right, and Jia Heading was behind the crowd. Soon, a tall shadow slowly emerged from the mist. As a Yokozuna, Daiko Enjin was the first to appear before the crowd. Next came Sakurabai Shiko, with a playful smile on his face, and Kurosawa Akamaga. With the help of the Grey Crow, they could clearly find their enemies even in the thick fog, so they arrived effortlessly in front of Take Seda and the others. When he saw the four of them, Daiku Kaido Yenjin suddenly frowned, looking disappointed. Aren't they the elite troops sent by the Jiangnan region? But why do they look so weak? Sakuraba Yoshimitsu crossed his arms and laughed. They're probably here to test our troops. Just deal with them casually. I think their main force is behind them. Daiku Kaido Yenjin nodded. In that case, let's not waste any more time with them. Seeing that the members of the Eclipse Moon did not take them lightly, the four members of the Wu Shifang were furious. Although they could not communicate verbally, their tactical helmets had translation functions, so it did not affect their understanding of each other's expressions. They were after all heroes of the outer city. Even if they were not as good as the well-trained elite of Blizzard City, they were not to be trifled with. Wu Shifang sneered, "For against 3, the advantage is on my side. You seem to have misunderstood the situation." Upon hearing this, the somewhat karmic Sakuraba Yoshimitsu kept shaking his head. No, you mustn't misunderstand." He and Kurosawa Akira took a few steps back in tacit agreement. Then Sakuraba Yoshimitsu pointed at Hideko Mawarai Yatsu. "He is the only one of your opponents. We promise not to intervene." A teasing gleam flashed in his eyes. "If you have the ability, you can even kill him."